Welcome, everybody, to another episode of THH Sports. We are here tonight to talk about football, and since you guys know we were doing our division-by-division breakdown, we are here to talk about the AFC North. Joining me, as always, are my co-hosts, Tru Heel Romeo and Top Guy JJ. JJ, we'll start with you. How are you doing this evening?
I'm doing great, man. Freaking busy-ass day today, but what a freaking intro. That's a banging intro. That was a banger right there. Some amazing highlights there I saw, man. You got some pretty good clips, man. Very diverse. I love it.
Yeah, there's still a lot of Bengals stuff, but the credit for that goes to Bengals guy.
This year they went to the Super Bowl, so you gotta give it to them. You gotta give it to them this year.
Credit goes to our Bengals guy, and that is none other than the Tru Heel MVP, Romeo. Romeo, how are you doing today? You are currently muted, sir.
Yep, sorry about that. Doing great. What is up, guys? I love these Thursday football streams, getting perspectives from all the teams and all the fan bases out there. It's been a lot of fun so far, and tonight we got one of the fiercest, maybe the fiercest division in all of football. So let's do this.
And to help us break it down, we have, as you guys know, we're bringing in fans from teams, bringing in people we know who know football, and we have just the two people to talk about the AFC North with us today. D. Ranker, how are you doing this fine evening, sir?
Good, man. Appreciate the invite. Talk some football.
Sounds great to me. And Jarrett, how are you doing tonight, sir?
I'd be doing a lot better if I didn't see that they're making yet another Star Wars show for no reason whatsoever as a useless cash grab. Other than that, I'm great. Absolutely great.
Yeah. Well, that's still kind of on brand because Monday Night Football is on ESPN. ESPN's owned by Disney.
There you go.
I love it when we go off the rails. Love it.
What did you say?
But there's no point. So dumb.
It's a trap.
I'll tell you guys what definitely isn't a trap, and that is the AFC North conversation we are going to have tonight because it's going to be awesome. And it's great because kicking us off a little bit of news, we're going to do a little bit of news before we get into the division breakdown. And, of course, one of the things we got to start with is the Deshaun Watson suspension. The independent arbitrator came down with her ruling that as a result of his 23 or 24, who knows, the number keeps going up, which is part of the problem, domestic violence or sexual assault, sexual violence, sexual assault, harassment, allegations, Deshaun Watson will be suspended 6 games. You heard that correct. 6 games, whereas other people have been suspended for far more, for doing far less. As a result, NFL Commissioner Robert Goodell has appealed the decision, as is the ability of the NFL. They are able to appeal all independent arbitrator decisions, and it's kind of an interesting situation due to the bylaws of the contract written by the NFLPA and the NFL. When the NFL appeals, they are able to set their own arbitrator this time. Originally in the first round, it's somebody who is agreed upon by both sides. This time, it's somebody that is appointed directly by the commissioner, or the commissioner would do it himself, and the commissioner usually recuses himself when they do an appeal. So here he has selected a gentleman by the name of Peter C. Harvey. He's a former New Jersey Attorney General, and this person is going to be reviewing everything. And what's interesting is I did a little bit of digging in this person's backstory, and when they were on the bench, they had a high focus on sexually violent crimes. So this person is well versed in not necessarily the specific details of these cases, but the overall kind of situation of what can happen in these kinds of things, and is a fairly good judge or evaluator of the merit of different claims and whether or not they rise to the occasion of being believable. So we don't know yet whether or not it will be 6 games or more. We know that the commissioner is pushing for a full year suspension, and because of how the Browns structured Deshaun Watson's contract, because they kind of knew that this would be a potential 1-year suspension, and so they've backloaded all the money, and there's nothing really in this first year. It's believed that Goodell wants to also impose some kind of monetary fine. So that's going to be something that we will be paying attention to here. And I'd like to start with the Cleveland Browns fan that we have here. D. Ranker, what are your thoughts on the current situation with Deshaun and this potential news that he will more than likely be out at least for 6 games? It could potentially be a lot more.
How long you got? Because I got all kind of thoughts on this.
Start off the top, bro. Start off the top.
We're going to start at the top. All right. First of all, this whole thing is making the NFL look terrible, in my opinion. All right. Why hire an arbitrator if you're not going to follow what they find, right? Just because you didn't like the outcome, and look, I'll be the first to admit that was a hell of a light sentence. I mean, yeah, you're right. Guys have farted on the field and got more games, all right? But be that as it may, just because, I mean, they did this. They put this in the collective bargaining agreement. This is how we're going to handle discipline going forward. You know, we're going to have this arbitrator. It's going to be fair. But if we don't like the answer, we get to appoint our own arbitrator, or I'll get to do it myself, and I'll make the decision. The whole thing just smells like fish, right? He is getting off very light. And trust me, that's my quarterback. When he came to Cleveland, I'm like, I don't care. I just want to win. This dude's going to get me to win. Baker, thank you for your service, but we got to move on. All right.
Oh yeah.
But I'm in favor of, probably he needs a fine. Like you got to hit this guy in the pocketbook just because of the way it was structured in his contract. That was the first slap in the face, right, to any, sexual violated victim or whatever. They deliberately did his contract like that, so he's going to lose money. So this dude needs a multi-million-dollar fine, and every dime of it should probably go to, victims, whatever. As far as the games go, the Browns, at least from what I've heard around here, the Browns were planning on this guy being out the whole season. They were planning, because even if he doesn't play 8 games, come next year, he's still got 5 years on that contract.
Right.
So he's going to play for the Browns for 5 years. Just whenever it starts is whenever it starts. So it doesn't hurt the Browns if he's out all year. But the fact that he's only going to be out 6, I think, if I had to guess, all right, I know that the league wants a whole season. I don't think they're going to get that whole season, just simply because he was out all of last season. Now he got paid last season, so fine him last season's salary, and that's now a 22-game suspension. If you just fine him last season's salary, fine him something this year, and kind of like time served, because he didn't not play because he didn't want to. He was told he couldn't play. Well, that's suspension. That's on administrative leave, right?
I mean, that all the time. If I may, he wasn't really suspended in that sense. It was just the Texans chose not to play him.
But they literally sat a franchise quarterback. Yeah. I mean, but that's, obviously if my job told me, hey, don't come to work this year, but we're going to pay you. Don't threaten me with a good time, right? But he was forced not to play because of what was going on around him. And the other thing is you got to also remember, with all those allegations coming out last year, Roger Goodell failed to put him on that exempt list.
Yeah. Which
doesn't make any sense, because if you just where we are right now is everybody hates this guy because there were 20 women, 22, 24, whatever, and they all said the same thing. So they can't all be lying, right?
Word.
So when that comes out, he should have put him on the exempt list. When Myles Garrett played whack-a-mole on Mason Rudolph a couple years ago, he immediately went on that list. You're done the rest of the year. We'll talk come preseason, right? So there's no reason he shouldn't have put him on there. So I think that year should be a year served of suspension, but you have to fine him whatever he made last year. Anyway, I'm talking too much already.
No worries.
This is your team. That's the quarterback, man.
Hey, look, and I'm fine with you, coach. If it's 6 games, dude, our first 6 games are just against junk up until maybe I think we played the Chargers. And I think there might be one other team in there with a winning record. Like we had the Jets, with respect.
Hey.
Not afraid of them with Jacoby Brissett.
I mean, you never know, man. It could be Josh Rosen.
You got the
Jacoby
Steelers in there. There's nothing in those 6 games that Jacoby Brissett can't respectfully handle.
Jarrett, I want to issue a quick apology. I mean, D-Ranker has the Cleveland Browns stuff all behind him, so it's obvious who his team was. I failed to ask you who your team is, so if you would tell us your team and then your thoughts on this Watson suspension, please.
No, I'm a Steeler fan, and I've covered this entire thing for 33rd team, and I did a pretty intense piece about it. So, I mean, if you want to read it, go ahead and read it. But basically, so. The thing with Watson is that, one, they couldn't put him on the exempt list last year because the outside investigation hadn't been finished. And in the CBA, Watson, the NFLPA could have sued without, an outside investigation being done. And the reason that the NFL didn't do their own investigations in the new CBA, they don't intervene on investigations going on. So they wait for the outside investigation to be done. They do their own investigation, and then they go from there. In terms of the appeal, I mean, I think that's what everybody kind of saw coming, is that, the suspension was too light. I think everybody kind of expected the NFL to appeal. Now it's just a matter of, what is found or what the decision is with the appeal on how many games he gets. It's going to be a full season? Probably not. I think that the most that they would probably get out of it is 12. Between 8 and 12, I guess.
I was thinking like 10, but
so
that kind of rolls his contract though too. So
yeah, and the lack of a monetary punishment, that irritated a lot of people too. So I think that that's something that'll be thrown into it. But we'll see. I mean, I've talked about this a lot, for a bunch of different places. So I think everybody is tired of hearing about it, and.
Oh yeah,
understandably so.
So want it to be over too.
Yeah. Everybody wants it to be over. Yeah, and I get that. I think everybody gets that. It is important to talk about, though. It is important, and it's not fun to talk about. Don't get me wrong, but especially for everybody involved, everybody affected. It's the NFL has to get it right. They've had plenty of precedents before where the Ray Rice thing that they absolutely didn't get right. So they're trying to avoid something like that again. So, can't blame them for doing their due diligence. But this thing has definitely dragged out.
I got to ask this. Has anybody read Sue Robinson's report? Like, have you read this thing?
Not all the way through. I read part of it, but not all of it, no.
That's the judge that handed the 6 games?
That's the judge.
Yeah.
It's that 13-page.
Yeah.
Yes.
Rough.
She was trying to compare it to other instances the NFL made suspensions and all that.
Hold on. Hang on, I got it right here.
Was there some other bad stuff in there?
Is this stream monetized?
What happened?
Oh well, it's pretty. It's very colorful. Her word.
Oh, gotcha. I think we can let people let people find it on their own.
The big thing was instead, if you look, there's not a man in the world that ever went to get a massage and just sit there thinking, I wonder if she does happy endings, right? So usually when you get a massage, and I've had one, so they use a sheet, right? They'll put a sheet over it.
Yeah.
Watson wanted very small towels, like a towel you would use at the bowling alley or at the golf course. You know what I mean? That's the towel he was using to cover himself. And he wanted certain areas that are not uncommon in the sports world to be massaged. And, very close to the Frank and Beans, and things are going to get touched. And things have a tendency to wake up when they get too close, and things are going to touch. And basically she's saying, while he never admitted to doing that intentionally, it's obvious that was his intent, right?
Right. Yeah, it's an interesting situation for sure, and one that's going to be definitely affecting the rest of the season and this AFC Division North talk. So, guys, we're going to get straight into it. I'm going to throw up on the screen my predictions, Romeo's predictions, and JJ's predictions. JJ, I know you got to head out of here quickly, so I'm going to ask you to state the reasoning for your thought process first, and we'll go from there. So here we go. We have some very similar. We have similar positions, basically the same positions for everybody, but just slightly different here and there for the win-loss record. My win-loss record is assuming that he does not play the 6 games. There's no change to the sentence whatsoever. So JJ, take it away.
All right. Well, I'm good for real quick. It feels like, just to kind of piggyback on what you guys are all saying, you guys all covered it very well. It just feels like the NFL got the whole fake hands up thing. We're trying. It's like, but you're not. You're really not. Like, y'all got way too much bad history on too many of these situations. Too much bad history. And they're trying to put it in a third party, whatever. And nobody's buying it. Nobody's buying it. Because it's just literally just lay the hammer down as you know you could. Backpedaling his suspension from last year ain't going to count to nobody's eyes, unfortunately. It's not going to count for no one. They want to see a sentence now. As far as the division, I think we're all kind of in the same boat here when it comes to what the results are. This is going to be hands down probably the toughest division in the entire league. And I had 2 records there for the Browns. If Deshaun Watson serves the entire year, they're going to be the worst team, bottom feeders of the division, and it's not even close. They're going to be somewhat competitive, but I see they can win up to 7 games if Deshaun Watson does play this year, because I see them starting off at like 1-5, and then they start and they get hot, when he comes back. So I see that's a real possibility. The Bengals they're at the top of the food chain in that division right now, and I think it's pretty obvious. I think the offense, you can't look like they literally, Tyler Boyd would be a lot of people's number 2 wide receiver. And he's a really great player. And the fact that he's there, long shot, he's there by far number 3. Yeah. It's kind of crazy to say what this offense is going to be. This offense is going to be dangerous again. And they help with the offensive line. So they're going to be the juggernauts of that division. And I do think, and it's crazy because I feel like the Steelers, they just know how to be competitive every year. They just know how to do it. Like,
that's for me. That's the reason why I could not give them a losing record, just because Tomlin is just so damn good at avoiding it. Yeah. I saw that you guys did, but man, that was tough for me.
Dude, the only reason, and it's barely 8 and 9. They could go easily 9 and 8, 10 and 7. It just depends on the quarterback play, because they gotta score points. But that defense is going to bring it every year. They bring it. Najee Harris is a freaking stud. Deontay Johnson just got paid. So, they got a happy team over there. So, a good feeling could lead to a lot of good results, especially on the football field when you got chemistry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say, speaking of which, Deontay Johnson, yes, he did get paid. They signed him or extended him a deal worth up to $39.5 million if he reaches incentives. It includes $27 million guaranteed. He is in the final year of his rookie contract. He will no longer be a free agent until 2025. So, Jarrett, as a Steelers fan, I want to ask you, you guys got Chase Claypool. You got Deontay Johnson. You've got Najee Harris. You've got all of this on offense. We know you have the loaded defense with TJ Watt. The question, as JJ put it, was quarterback play. And you guys are looking like you may be playing with either Mason Rudolph, who has not really been able to do that much in previous seasons, or you are going to be trusting the football in the hands of a guy who was in a failed experiment in Chicago. So how do you feel about the quarterback play potential for the Steelers, and then the Steelers' chances in general with the division?
Don't sleep on Pat Fryer. That's a bad boy.
It's
Mitch?
Pat Fryer moved their tight end.
Oh.
I think it'll be Mitch. They signed him for a reason. And when it comes down to it, like, were there better options? Yes. Were there worse options? Yes. So right now, no one's really pulling away in camp. Mitch went on I think it was like an 0 for 16 streak or something like that in a red zone drill over the past like combined 3 days. So Yeah, no one's really pulling away. When they do, certain like receiver one-on-ones or 7-on-7s, like each guy's had their moments. But yeah, no one seems to be pulling away, and that's really the one position that is of question on the team right now. I mean, as an entire roster, they're a lot better than where they were last year. So we'll see when preseason gets here for them at least and starts, getting in full swing, which guy starts to pull away. And look, if Mitch Trubisky is the guy who pulls away, Kenny Pickett plays well. Wouldn't shock me if they end up moving Mason Rudolph, just because he's not gonna. If Kenny Pickett outplays Mason Rudolph, I mean Mason Rudolph's not going to be a 3. He's a fine backup. They can send him somewhere else and try to get something for him. So I do think it'll be Mitch.
It reminds me of the Mason Rudolph situation. Reminds me of the Josh Dobbs situation of a couple years ago, where that was kind of like an easily traded quarterback that they could just try to get something back for.
They traded him to. They got, I think, a 6th-round pick for him from Jacksonville. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, they can definitely get something for Mason Rudolph if that's the route that they decide to go.
Going a little bit further into this, you're saying that from what you understand, that no quarterback has really pulled away. What would you give your odds for the potential of Kenny Pickett to just outright win the starting job?
Slim to none. I mean, he hasn't looked great in camp. Right now, he's probably the 3rd best there as of right now. So I don't think that he's going to win it.
Gotcha.
And look, this can be a situation where he doesn't really play at all this year, and that's fine. He doesn't need to. I wasn't a fan of the pick. I'm still not a fan of the pick for reasons like this. When you have a guy who was in college for a half decade, was only good for one of those years, and in a conference that's already not great, was worse than it usually is. So I wasn't a fan of the pick. Plus, Kenny doesn't really have that big of an arm. So there's a lot of things that I didn't like about it that I still don't like about it. Obviously, I'm hoping I'm wrong. I'm rooting for him. But yeah, I think it'll be Trubisky throughout this year. If he starts struggling, though, like if Pittsburgh starts like 2-4, 2-5, people are going to start chanting for Pickett and whatnot, and the leash is going to get shorter. So yeah, there's a lot of factors that go into it.
That's one thing for sure, is that the Steelers fans do not have a problem letting their feelings be known. They're almost always calling for Tomlin to be fired, even though he gets them a winning season.
Most Steelers
fans at least Tomlin this year, because correct me if I'm wrong, but hasn't had a losing season at all, right?
Correct.
Yeah, no,
never.
So he's never had to rebuild, right? He's never had to do a rebuild. He's retooled many times.
Right.
But he's never had to start with, I mean, come on, man. Roethlisberger's Roethlisberger. I mean, you got Roethlisberger. That's half the win right there. But now he's got this. Obviously, they got a quarterback issue down there right now. But I think, Mitch Trubisky's going to win that job. I mean, he's actually from right down the road from me.
I mean, there's a lot of folks.
Went to Menor High School right up here, so.
Yeah, there's a lot of folks that were saying Big Ben was holding the offense back last year. So, there's a lot of folks that get a chance to prove that,
Yeah, I think he's a year too late. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see if Tomlin can actually do a rebuild, because I've heard I have a lot of fans around here that are Steeler fans and been calling for his head for a while. So
easily the best team Trubisky will have. Easily the best team he'll have.
Yeah. I mean, I can see a scenario where he doesn't finish the season. I think you've got to get Kenny Pickett in there at some point. He's the future, right?
Yeah,
that's what I hope for, at least.
Mm-hmm.
Romeo, I think you had a question for Jarrett.
Yes, Jarrett. How do you have the division playing out as far as records go? Win-loss.
I have to pull it. I think it was Cincinnati 11-6, Baltimore and Pittsburgh 9-8, with the Ravens as a playoff team, and then Cleveland 8-9.
Nice.
And that's with Watson, right?
Yeah, that's 6 games. I did part 2 of my division predictions for 33rd team. I think it was a week ago that I put those out. That was before everything was announced, but I went in assuming it would be. I thought it was going to be 6, so that's how I based it off of. So 8-9 is kind of what I'm feeling for Cleveland.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. So I'm going to play a quick video from a Ravens fan who was unable to join us, but is with us in spirit.
Hey, I'm Troy Wands, and I'm here to give you my opinion on AFC North this season. This is usually a competitive division, and it will be again this year, but QB play will determine a lot. Coming in at the bottom will be the Steelers. Najee Harris and the defense will keep them in the game, but they will be limited by QB play. Trubisky can win you some games, but I'm not sure how good of a game the OC Matt Canada can call for him. I'm expecting this to be Tomlin's first season with a losing record. Next up, Cleveland. Deshaun's availability is a key factor. They have a top team, but need their number one to compete for the division in a playoff spot. Since we don't know what's going on with him, I have to keep them number 3. I have my team, the Ravens, at number 2. They are good enough to win a championship, but health and the offense will be the key factors. I'm not worried about Lamar. He will do his thing, but I'm worried about Greg Roman's offense. If I don't see Lamar under center during the regular season, Romeo has to go. All the top passers in the league have plays under center to allow the receivers time to get down the field. But Roman, this is his make or break year. Please, Roman, put Lamar under center. Let the safeties come up. Then let him throw over top. Just that easy. Watch what San Francisco does this year with a second-year QB. Let's give Lamar some passing windows. And finally at the top, I have Cincinnati Bengals. They picked up O-line help and free agency that's ready to play. They have several defensive players in a draft that will have immediate impact and a returning offense that could put up like 30 points any week. The only thing against them might be the loser of the Super Bowl usually struggles the next season. We will see if it happens to them. Hopefully the football gods will bring them down, but if not, Cincy will be competing for a championship in the next few seasons. And so that's my outlook for the AFC North. Go Ravens.
One thing I wanted to just quickly ask D-Ranker and Jarrett is that last year we saw, to my friend Troy's point, we saw a lot of injuries right in the beginning for the Steelers, and it kind of shifted how they wanted to play. They had to really go running back by committee, and when they wanted to have Dobbins be that lead guy. So this year, we kind of think that if these injuries don't happen, they're going to be back to that kind of run-heavy, run-first kind of an offense. How do you guys think that will how do you think that guys will change the Ravens this year? Because they have lost some receivers, and they did not add receivers whatsoever. We'll start with you.
Yeah, I mean, I saw a stat. It was like Rashad Bateman has the most receiving yards of like any receiver on the roster, and he's got less than 600 receiving yards. Like, they're putting a lot of trust in the fact that Mark Andrews is going to be their guy, getting Dobbins back, putting a lot of trust in Rashad Bateman. After that, Devin Duvernay and whoever the hell, like, I can't tell you.
I think it's James Proche is supposed to be the 2.
Yes, great. Huzzah. Yeah, no. Lamar's fantastic, but he can't do it by himself. But before I head out, I would like to see Lamar succeed. And he has succeeded with, not a lot of receiving help around him. We'll see if he can do it this year. I think that, a lot of that offense has been somewhat holding them back in terms of what they can do. And I think it's been a little bit of a, repellent for top receivers to come there. So, it's a big year for him, obviously, going into a contract year, seeing if he can, if Baltimore does decide to give him that money. So it's a decision that Eric DeCosta and the front office have to make for Baltimore. But, we know how good and we know how talented Lamar is. He's improved as a passer every year. Might not be on that elite level as a passer, but he's improved every year. So we'll see what Baltimore can do.
And JJ, I know you got to head out as well. So I just wanted to ask you one final quick question. With Lamar being, as Jarrett's saying, as everybody's kind of saying, the linchpin of this Ravens offense, and him holding out for a contract, not holding out, but like letting them know they need to get him the contract. We had the contract conversation a little while ago with Kyler, and I wanted to ask you, with the Ravens, how with the level of importance, how do you feel about them kind of not getting him the contract already?
Well, before I gotta head out so early, guys. Gotta get some stuff done. One of my absolute favorite people in the world is here as well, so gotta do my thing. I don't think it's about I think it's more of how. I think it's more about the structure of the contract that they're trying to work out. I don't think they don't want to pay him. I think they're just trying to find those logistics of the contract. How many years? How much guaranteed? How long do we want it to be? So there's probably like a miscommunication of years and like guaranteed money. He's gonna get it. They're gonna work it out. It's just a matter of time. I'm not worried about it at all. They know they can't lose their best thing they've had pretty much ever. So yeah, he ain't going nowhere. He's not going nowhere. They're gonna work this out.
Gotcha. So guys, Jarrett and JJ, I don't know if you guys when you exactly need to leave, but I want to thank you both for popping on here.
Yeah, absolutely. And I will see you guys on Saturday. I will be back on the Tru Heel Heat podcast on the YouTube channel, on the Tru Heel Heat channel. So it'd be fun to kick it with you guys for the whole episode.
Alrighty, guys. Thanks for being here.
Jarrett, let everyone know where they can find you, Jarrett.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at JBaileyNFL. Read all the stuff. USA Today, Sports Illustrated, 33rd Team. Big day for 33rd Team. So, yeah, we're proud of all the progress that's being made there. I'm happy to be, a small part of that. So, yeah, all that stuff. And again, I tweet out all the stuff on Twitter at JBaileyNFL. So follow it on there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you guys.
So, DeRanker, I keep trying to say like D-Ranker or Der-Ranker. It's throwing me. But I wanted to ask you your thoughts. I wanted to ask you your thoughts on the Browns when it comes to your receivers. You guys lost Odell Beckham last year with him going to the Rams. You guys now release Jarvis Landry. How do you feel about the receiving core in Cleveland? And whether it's Brissett, whether it's Watson, whether it's Josh Rosen, for that matter, throwing them the ball, how do you feel about their ability to win in game-time situations?
Well, we picked up this guy called Amari Cooper. If you've heard of him.
It's one way to solve the problem.
So
if he's
Jarvis
healthy,
Landry, thank you for your service. Yeah, he's got to stay healthy, absolutely. But we also have Donovan Peoples-Jones, who for the last couple of years has shown flashes in the pan that this guy can be a big-time deep threat. So we're hoping he makes that next step this year. I do want to say this because you guys have christened the Bengals the foreseeable champion of that division. I don't say, dude, you got to remember, last year, how many games won that division?
How many what?
10. 10 games won that division last year.
right?
That division even now is more competitive than it was last year. Wouldn't be surprised if 10 or 11 wins it again. And
Yeah, I have that as 11 for the Browns.
I could see the Browns finishing second, finishing last. I can see the Ravens, who I think are going to win the division because remember Lamar didn't even play the last 6 games of the season. So they could be, they were just decimated with injuries last year, like you said, and started in training camp, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think the Ravens got to be the favorite to win that division. The Bengals. I love Joe Burrow. I just think if it wasn't for Patrick Mahomes laying an egg in the second half last year, I mean, we wouldn't be talking about them. Yeah. And I know you like Joe, man. I like Joe too. But anyway, I do think that
I like Joe and I like
Browns
Chase. Well, let me tell you about the Bengals. Let me tell you about the
we got this other guy. His name is like who else? Nick Chubb. Yeah, he's pretty good too. So I'm not worried about Jacoby Brissett or Watson. If Watson misses 6 games, I'm feeling pretty confident. If it gets to 8 and 10, yeah, we're going to be middle of the road or bottom of the pack.
I think it's going to be higher. I think the NFL is going to, I think whoever they just hired, the new judge, is probably going to say 12, like double it. And then I'm sure the Players Association will, they have their chance to appeal too, right?
I believe so, yeah.
So I think it'll get dropped to 10. I think 10 will be the number.
Actually, if this judge is supposed to be the final say as far as the NFL is concerned, right? We didn't like the arbitrator, so now I have to give you my arbitrator, and whatever he says is the way it goes. So if he says 12, Watson's crew is just going to sue. They're going to take it to federal court. And it's going to be like Ezekiel Elliott a couple of years ago, where Watson may be on the field week 1 until this thing plays out. Because they'll file an injunction or what is it called? It's a restraining order. They like to call it.
TRO, yeah.
Right. So,
so then he would be able to
like
play
that,
the entire season.
He would play
as
until
long as
the
it
court
settles.
Until it gets resolved. So it either if it got resolved sometime in the season,
could be 6 weeks, it could be 8 weeks, it could be the season, it could be anything. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays
out. Roger couldn't put him on a commissioner's list or anything to not make him play.
That I'm not 100% sure. I don't know if he could do it so late after the fact. Because the thing is, if he did it like so late after the fact, then it really does strengthen the argument that
it's all
in front of a judge that the NFL is just trying to kind of violate this guy's right or whatever to play the game. But one thing I think that's
just terrible.
Yeah, one thing I think that's interesting.
It's not even in the courts anymore. It's basically the court of public opinion, because now you have to satisfy the public, right? Nobody's satisfied with 6 games. I would, like I said, as a diehard Browns fan who was happy to have Watson come and for lack of a better word,
Jesus.
That took me a second.
I forgot
Holy shit!
But getting back to what I was saying, 6 games is not enough, especially with no fine. Like I expected him to be. People were always saying, "Oh, because of his salary, the way it's set up, he's not going to lose any money." I'm like, "Well, they can fine the heck out of him," And they didn't.
Right.
She didn't even fine him. So I think a big fine's coming. I think counseling's coming too. I think they're going to force him to go to therapy or not therapy, counseling. We've done enough therapy. Let's go to counseling. So I think that's going to be part of his reinstatement, and that's why I think it will go around 8 or 10, because the league's not getting the full season. Otherwise, if you won the full season, you wouldn't have hired Sue Robinson to do all this stuff. Because now, if you completely go against her, you undermine her. You're undermining a federal judge, right? And she interpreted your CBA to make that decision.
Right.
So I don't think you want to make her completely irrelevant by saying it's a full season or nothing. I think you go somewhere in the middle. I think it's 8 or 10, and I think it's a stupid fine. I think it's probably unprecedented fine for a player. Right?
It should be, because the Browns were trying to be cute with that contract. No money barely any money, $1 million this year.
Exactly.
And then you can have all your money next year.
As much as the Browns were being cute with the contract, I don't know if I can necessarily blame the Browns. I'm pretty sure Watson was like, this needs to be written this way. Yeah.
Right, they were making him happy, yeah. And they gave him all that guaranteed money, Yeah, they had to get him there, but it's not going to look good in the public eye. There has to be a financial hit too as well.
Yeah,
one thing that I think is
he's getting so much money. He's getting so much money.
It's a shit. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
230 guaranteed.
He's going to wipe the tears of his suspension with all those millions of dollars.
Oh man! One thing that I think is interesting is that if it's a 6-game suspension, the first game he's back is at the Ravens. If it's a 10-game suspension, the first game he's back is a home game, Buccaneers. So either way, it's going to be thrown into the fire as soon as he gets back. So it's going to be some really.
He only has to stay away from the facility for half the suspension. So if it's 8 games, he gets to come back to practice after week 4. So he's going to be involved in it. And I think this fine is going to be nasty, and it's all going to go to sexual, violated victims or whatever, victims of sexual violence or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Chicago Jake Dog.
But
yes. So the NFL can appeal the ruling, but when they appeal, it's either the commissioner who issues the new ruling or somebody he designates. So yes, the NFL is able to choose who they can hear. Yeah.
It seems like Roger Goodell is trying real hard either way to be like, oh, it wasn't me. It was a judge. It was a judge that said that many games. It wasn't me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
My hands are clean.
And the thing is,
even though it's the guy he hired, You know, that isn't even collectively bargained. It's a guy he picks.
While it does seem like it doesn't make sense on its face, it does when you think about when you look at it from the perspective that the NFL's job, technically speaking, is to protect the integrity of the game no matter what. So they should, in a sense, have the ability to kind of say, look, this wasn't the right thing. Let's get somebody else and have a fresh set of eyes, because when the first arbitrator is picked, it's somebody that both sides have to agree on. So now you're saying, okay, let's try to the goal is to protect the integrity of the game. Now in practice, in that's in theory. In practice, it doesn't make sense because, well, I mean, the NFL is going to suspend people or fine people for completely, not to say that those offenses aren't as bad or aren't bad at all, but they're going to fine or suspend people at a way different level than 6 games suspension for everything that Watson did.
And that's why Sue Robinson, again, if you read that thing all through, that's why she didn't want to go above 6 games, because she says there's no precedence other than this is what you penalized in the past, 6 games.
Right.
So that's what she went with, and that's what she does. She's a lawyer. She's going to interpret a contract and that's all she did. And it wasn't good enough for the NFL. And I think it's going to be interesting because the guy that Goodell just hired is a lawyer, federal judge, so he's going to interpret a contract. However, this one wasn't collectively bargained. He works for one side. So he does. The CBA, the NFLPA had nothing to do with this guy. So it's going to be.
One judge is going to be on the low end. The other judge is going to be on the high end. And then Roger will be like, you know what? We'll just do it in the middle. How's that sound? I don't know. I guess that's how it's going to be. Or the Players Association is going to have to settle for something. I don't know.
Well, one thing is
down to Roger Goodell.
Well, one thing is for certain: if he misses the 6 games, then he will miss out on one of the divisional rival games with the Steelers. If he misses out on more than that, he's going to miss out on Steelers and Ravens. But one thing that is,
lose audio,
pretty much kind of set in stone is that he will more than likely be facing the Bengals twice this year. So, Romeo, this is where we get to pivot to talk Bengals talk. I want you to give us the case or chase, I guess, as to why the Bengals will be the division leader this year.
I'm not going to do it because you know why? I have an 8-minute video from Rick Ucchino, who's probably just going to say a lot of the things I'm going to say. So let's hear from him. Let me load this video. And we will play it. Rick Ucchino. Follow him on Twitter, Rick Ucchino. And we can react. We can react to this as it plays. Let's hear it.
On you guys, Rick Ucchino here, Believe Podcast Network, SB Nation, where I cover professional wrestling. But what you might not know is I also cover the NFL for SiriusXM, more specifically the Cincinnati Bengals, your reigning, defending, undisputed AFC champion, Cincinnati Bengals. And honestly, guys, here's what you can expect, all right, from Joe Burrow and company in 2022. They're going to be better. They took the league by surprise last year in their run up to the Super Bowl, where they were this close to knocking off the Rams and winning their first Super Bowl in franchise history. They got better, guys. They went out and they addressed their biggest need, which was the offensive line. And they didn't just go out and scrape the scrap heap and bring in a couple of reclamation projects. No, they went out and they spent premium dollars to fix that offensive line. The entire center to right side has been revamped. Ted Karras coming in, all pro, had success in the postseason. He's going to lock down that center spot. Alex Kappa, they paid him big dollars to come over from Tampa Bay and leave Tom Brady behind. He's going to control that right guard spot. And then they were able to really play it patient with La'el Collins and the Dallas Cowboys. He ultimately was released. They didn't have to trade anything for him, and then they were able to sign him to the same deal that he was with the Cowboys. that is going to drastically improve this team this season. And that's a scary thought when you look at what they did from an offensive standpoint last year. Joe Burrow, he's going to take another step this year. They already have the best wide receiver trio in the game, and Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Tyler Boyd. Now you bring in Hayden Hurst. He should be able to reproduce the same production that they got out of CJ Uzomah last year. He's not going to be the rah-rah guy that Uzomah was, but he should be sufficient and replace what they missed from an on-field standpoint. So they're not really going to miss a beat there. But as excited as I am to watch Joe Burrow get to have the football in his hands and not have to make a decision within, 1.5 seconds. As excited as I am to see Zach Taylor open up the playbook and maybe use some of those more slowly developing plays now that this revamped offensive line should be able to hold up in protection at least a lot more. Joe Burrow shouldn't be the most sacked quarterback in all of the NFL this season. What I'm most excited for is what they're going to get out of Joe Mixon. This is a guy who has a legitimate chance, should he stay healthy, he's going to get enough carries to have 2,000 all-purpose yards this year. On the ground, through the air, very underrated as a receiver out of the backfield. This is a guy who more often than not had to make his first move last year 3 yards behind the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
Zach Taylor loves to run a lot of stretch plays to the right. They just revamped that entire right side of that offensive line. Joe Mixon is going to be dangerous. This offense is going to be dangerous. Joe Burrow taking another step, might be an MVP candidate this year. Jamar Chase, they're starting to utilize him out of the slot a little bit more. That should scare.
I paused it because I wanted to mention Burrow, another year removed from the ACL injury, by the way.
A lot of defenses this coming season, in the AFC and the NFC. Anybody who has to try to contain Jamar Chase after what he did in his rookie year. I'm not crazy about the depth, right? Like there's a huge drop off from Tyler Boyd to wide receiver number 4, whoever the hell that even is. I guess it's Michael Thomas at this point. Might be Trent Irwin. I don't know. But I think every team in the NFL is going to go, all right, yeah, we would like to have a little bit more depth. Nobody's going to sit here and say that, hey, yeah, we love our 4th and 5th dudes in the rotation. No, you'd always like to improve that. So the depth concerns me there. If the injuries start to pile up, that's going to be a concern. We saw how that derailed things for Baltimore last season. But, man, offense and defense, I'm not seeing a whole lot of holes here. Like, again, I'm trying to be as objective as possible, but, man, I'm not seeing a lot of holes. This is a team that should take the next step. Yes, they lost Larry Ogunjobi, which sucks. He was a force on the interior line last year on the defensive side of the ball. He's in Pittsburgh now, so that's a double whammy. But got this new kid, Carter, that they just drafted this year. They like him a lot. He's been tearing it up in training camp so far. And then they're also going to be getting a guy by the name of Joseph Osai, who was a 3rd-round pick out of Texas last year, who was just an absolute beast in the preseason before he got injured. So I know they like him to bolster the pass rush as well. Jesse Bates, a little bit of a concern. They're all pro safety. He's not in camp right now due to a contract dispute, but dispute's over. Like there's nothing he can do. I fully expect him to report and to play well, to play at an all-pro level this season, because that's really his only chance to get the kind of money, to get the coin that he wants for 2023, whether it's from Cincinnati or another team. So he's going to come in. He's going to play well. This is a team, if they can stay healthy, knock on wood, relatively, injuries are going to happen, right? This is a team that's going to win 11, 12, maybe even 13 games this year. It's a tough stretch. A lot of tough games. A lot of tough games. First place schedule, right? This team went to the Super Bowl last year. This team beat Pat Mahomes twice, including an Arrowhead in the AFC Championship game. They didn't lose a lot. They gained a lot. I'm not sitting there saying they're going to make it back to the AFC or back to the Super Bowl representing the AFC, but they got a shot, guys. Like, they're getting a little bit of respect from the national media, but not a whole lot. Some people are saying they're going to take a step back this year. I don't see it. I just don't. I'm sorry, I don't see it. I'm trying. Again, objectively trying to find the holes. I don't see very many of them. And then when I look at the AFC North, I think Baltimore is probably going to finish second in the division, somewhere around 10, 11, 12 wins as well. But when it comes to head-to-head with the Bengals, I think the defense has kind of figured out Lamar Jackson there a little bit. This is a defense that has the speed to keep Jackson contained, and then he's got to throw the football. And you don't have anybody to throw the football to.
I like
Baltimore's still a
Bengals,
very,
man,
very
but
good
he was
team.
seen and not
Cleveland, completely up in the air. I think Deshaun Watson.
Say that again.
I said I like Bengal fan when he was seen and not heard.
The Bengals fan is out now.
Right, yeah,
Hear his roar.
yeah, they're coming out of the
Hear his
woodwork
roar.
now. They're just coming out. They've already got the division wrapped up. I mean, why the hell am I even going to pay the NFL Network this year for Red Zone? Jesus, this division's over and done with already. And
Let's hear the rest of us.
Watson will play this year. Will he play 6 games? Will he play 12 games? Will he play the whole season? Because everything's going to be tied up in the courts. Who knows? But I still like the Bengals roster better. If Deshaun Watson misses, say, 12 games, I think Cleveland's season is tanked, and Pittsburgh doesn't have a quarterback. Sorry, they don't.
I haven't watched the season.
I think the
this year.
Bengals win the AFC North. I think they go 5-1, if
Here you
not
go.
6-0.
Here you go, Bengal fans.
In the division, in the process. I like a lot of their matchups this year with their AFC rivals. It's going to be tough. They're going to get everybody's best shot. I think this is the team that's going to win the AFC North for a second year in a row. I think they got another deep playoff run in them. Of course, one bad thing could honestly derail that. We all saw that with Baltimore last year. They had a lot of bad things derail their season, but y'all should be afraid. Everybody in the AFC be afraid of Cincinnati Bengals.
I'm supposed to be afraid of the Bengals?
Yeah. D-Ranker did so much better. And one thing Rick did not mention. Those new
won 10
white
games
Bengal uniforms are good for however many wins they're going to wear them. They're gonna win in those white unis. Those
And
things
we're
are
undefeated
beautiful.
in our orange.
You know, all those pass rushers are going to be like, yeah, you set up, you rebuilt that offensive line. We're going to put a lot of grass stains on old Joey B's nice white uniform there.
Well, you're gonna have to go through a whole new offensive line to do
10
that.
games, and it's leader of the pack, man. Did we forget
I mean,
about the
they are better.
AFC
They are
West?
better, D-Ranker. I mean, the
everybody in that
only
division's
arguments you can make are that okay, there's a Super
Even
Bowl
without
hangover.
Watson, the Browns are better than they were last.
I mean,
year,
that's
right?
Super Bowl hangover
The
though.
Ravens,
That's a pretty real thing.
The Ravens are going to be better. I mean,
They can't, but they have to prove to stay healthy. I have the Ravens and Bengals, being pretty close. I don't like the Steelers for the same reasons he did, and I have zero faith in Deshaun Watson playing more than.
No, half the season. That's right. I got the Browns second or third. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we all have.
Steelers are going to be in last place.
It
going to
is
be in last place.
It is kind of interesting that a lot of people are.
Najee Harris or whatever freaking name is, he can't carry that ball 400 times again. He's going to blow a knee. Like they put the whole.
They have
weight of the
offensive line
world.
questions too.
Yeah,
It is really interesting that this is one of the first seasons where people are really saying Tomlin could have a losing season.
Right. And I'm sorry, Tomlin's never, ever, ever, ever had to rebuild. He's always had Ben Roethlisberger, who's gonna win you 8 games blindfolded. All right, doesn't have him anymore. He's got Mitch Trubisky, who's played 13 games in his entire college career, was garbage in Chicago. All right. I like him because he's from right down the road. He went to the high school not far from here. But we all love Mitch Trubisky. But I'm sorry, he's a seat warmer right now. And I'm sorry, Kenny Pickett will be in that lineup because nobody knows more than Browns fans what you do with your rookie quarterback. The fans want to see him play, and the fans are going to get to see him play by week 8 or 9 as soon as. I mean, unless Trubisky's got him at 7-2. Trubisky's just holding that seat because they're going to start saying they're going to want to see their future, and they're going to start claiming, especially if they're out of it. You know, if they're the minute they're a losing record, trust me, I know Steeler fans too. And
Well, they're not used to
Bengal
losing.
fan is climbing that ladder with me now too. But you know who's above both of them? Buffalo fan now. They're getting obnoxious.
We're gonna get to that.
Buffalo fans.
We're gonna get to that when we talk AFC.
Come
East.
on now.
They're
They have good
nuts.
reason. They have good reason.
I get it, but they pretty much handed them the Lombardi Trophy this year.
They're
right?
the
Yeah.
embodiment. They're the embodiment of fucking what's his name? Sirius Black in Harry Potter. Where he's like, I did my waiting. 12 years. they did their waiting. They're getting trashed by Tom Brady and Belichick over and over again.
Oh yeah,
They finally have something. So
trust me, we've had to take the ass whipping from the Steelers for the last 15 years. You know,
what you
because
thought?
we didn't draft Roethlisberger.
What Johnny Manziel, Deshaun Kaiser? They weren't.
Yeah, exactly. 0-16. Yeah. We've been there. Yeah, I know what it is. That's why I can talk about it.
Well, to give you a little support, we've got a friend of ours, RJ, in the comments saying he thinks it's going to be hard for the Bengals to repeat under expectations as AFC North winners. I just got a feeling injuries are going to occur somewhere, and the Browns are going to shock people. All they have to do is win 3 of their first 6. If they can do that, they have a real shot to win the North.
Let me pull up the schedule then.
Yeah, go for it. Because the
You know it
Browns,
off the top of your head, do you?
I mean, I have it. I mean, I have it too, but do you? So they're at Panthers, then they're home to the Jets, they're home to the Steelers, they're at Falcons, Chargers, Patriots, and then it's at Ravens, and that is currently at Ravens, the first game that Watson should be coming back if he serves.
All right,
all
slow
6
down. Start from the top again. I wasn't ready.
At
I'll play the
Panthers,
schedule game. I'll play the schedule game. You give me.
At Panthers,
at
Hold on,
Panthers.
At Panthers,
loss.
Baker Mayfield's gonna get his ass booked.
Oh, that's
Baker
the Baker
Mayfield's
Mayfield
gonna be motivated.
game. Come
He's
on.
gonna be motivated. The
He's
Panthers
gonna-
win at home.
He's gonna drop a nice.
Yeah, motivated
45
Baker
Not losing to
Mayfield.
Jacoby Brissett.
he's gonna drop a nice 45-yarder to DJ Moore.
Yeah.
CMC is not gonna be hurt for
Okay.
once.
1-0.
It's gonna be beautiful.
Next.
New York
1-0.
Jets.
The Panthers,
New
you know,
York
they had a good
Jets.
start
2-0.
last year. The Panthers.
The New York Jets.
2-0, even with Jacoby Brissett.
Where's that game at? In Cleveland?
2-0.
It's in Cleveland.
0-2.
Then we got the Steelers, home to Steelers.
3-0.
That's a game they could win
At Atlanta
because
Falcons.
that team doesn't have a quarterback either.
4-0.
At Atlanta
Falcons?
Falcons. At
4-0.
Falcons.
2-2.
4-0.
Chargers, home to Chargers.
2-3.
4-1.
I would think so.
home to Patriots.
I'm gonna give the
2-4.
Patriots that one because I like the Patriots.
So I got 2-4, and D-Raker has
So
4-2.
So you're gonna give the Patriots the win over
I'll
the
give
Steelers.
the Patriots that one.
You're gonna give the Patriots the win. over the
Belichick
Steelers.
doesn't lose to the Browns.
Belichick's not losing to Jacoby Brissett. Yeah,
It's his old quarterback.
Yeah, his old quarterback.
yeah. He's not.
4-2.
So I got him 2-4. D-Raker has him 4-2. What do you have him, John, for those 6 games?
Give me 1 sec because I did a game by game breakdown or a week by week breakdown. And okay, so
Oh my God, you guys are going off in the comments.
yeah.
These are crazy
So wait,
comments.
so this is the Browns. I had them losing all 6.
Whoa! 0-6.
I had them losing all 6. I gave them 4 wins. I gave them 4 wins at Miami, at Houston. 5 wins. At Miami, at Houston. I gave them the win when the home game, Baltimore, New Orleans, and Washington. The reason why I gave them all those losses is because I don't think that he's playing any of those 6 games, those first 6 games that Watson's going to play.
And that's fine.
And
look,
when he comes back, I'm thinking it's going to take him a week or 2 before he's actually NFL ready. That's one thing to be in practice. It's another thing to actually get hit. They're not going to hit you in practice. It's another, and you haven't been playing for like a year, so it's going to be a little while before you take that hit and you get back into that rhythm. That's why I gave them.
But you know what I'm basing it
wins
off
in the
of? I'm not
back
basing it off of Deshaun Watson or Jacoby Brissett. I'm basing it off of Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt and, guys that can carry the load.
That's going to keep him in games.
That's
why I gave him 2 wins.
Right. So I'm sorry. They're beating Atlanta. They're beating the Jets.
The only reason
why
Jets,
my
the reason why I
friend.
gave
Don't
Atlanta
sleep on the Jets, my friend.
Yeah.
only reason
That
why I
defense
gave them
coming.
the Atlanta win. Only reason why I gave Atlanta the win is because of it's home territory for Atlanta. That's really
Yeah,
it.
I've
I think it's gonna be Brissett or Rosen, not Watson. So I'm like, anything can happen, and I'll lean on the home field advantage there.
Yeah, I mean, I've got them 8 or 9 wins in the middle of the road. I mean, I don't have like the orange and brown blinders on, man. I know when my team sucks.
StatKing, can you read that comment?
Probably one of, if not the best running back in the league, with one of the best offensive lines in the league.
Listen.
Probably the most seasoned backup quarterback in Jacoby Brissett. I think you can.
If it were any other kind of backup quarterback, I'd be willing to believe that screen passes to Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt can and will get the job done. My problem is that Jacoby Brissett has not shown the capability to be that solid of a starter enough, and that's what they need. They don't need a backup filling in. They need a pure actual starter to be able to win these games.
Sure. But
and there's only so much I can believe in Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt.
Right. But name a backup quarterback that's probably started as many games as Jacoby Brissett. You know, he was thrown into the fire when Andrew Luck retired unexpectedly. So
that was during a preseason game, so they still had some time to prep.
I had an idea for the Browns, and that was depending on whatever Watson's suspension is going to be.
Oh,
and
yeah,
that was to trade for Jimmy Garoppolo.
It was on the table.
And we still don't know what that suspension is going to be. So
right, if it was going to be a full season,
could still be an option.
If he was going to get the full season, and they were sure of it, they would have went after Jimmy Garoppolo. It was on the table.
We still don't know what's going to be, really.
And we got all kind of money. We're going to pay Baker Mayfield $10 million this year.
You got all kinds of money because you paid a quarterback $1 million.
Yeah,
this year.
Somebody did the math. We're actually going to pay Baker Mayfield $538,000 to try to beat us in Week 1.
And he will.
Oh my God,
that's the best part. But
you should sign some of these free agent wide receivers with the money, the spare money you got.
Shit. This is always a fun comment, and this is a fun division because our friend RJ, his second team is the Browns, but his first team is the Bears. So he has an irrational and abnormal love for Mitch Trubisky, and that's just putting it lightly. So despite the fact that he is a Browns fan, he is heavily rooting for Mitch, which, just as I said, is a weird conundrum for this division. So I just want you to look at this and tell me what you think.
What are you, fucking stupid?
I see. I predict Mitch 4,200. That's where I shit my pants right there. And I didn't even read the rest yet. Hold on. 28 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. That's enough to get Steve.
When does crack? Now, so the cocaine's happening. When does that crack come into play for you?
Meanwhile,
sorry, RJ, that is just ridiculous. Ridiculous.
Meanwhile, we have our good friend, the True Draw Josh, saying that he predicts Pickett will be the starter by the year's end.
I say by the second half, maybe the 3/4 of the season at best. I think unless, because again, Browns fan, we've been here many times. Unless the veteran is going to carry them to the playoffs, the minute the fans think they're out of the playoffs, like you're midseason, you're 500, one below, the fans start screaming, get the rookie in there, get the rookie
because we're talking a lot about the division itself, but we do need to talk about the larger picture is the entirety of the AFC. There's going to be the Bengals who are winning a lot of games. There's also going to be Buffalo. There's also going to be Kansas City. There's also going to be the Raiders. There's the Chargers. That entire AFC West.
That's insane. That AFC West. I would love to have been in that conversation.
And
can you pull up the Steelers schedule so we could get an idea of how fast of a start Trash Bisky needs to get to?
Absolutely.
Trash Bisky. Come on.
Sorry.
One other thing I want to throw up here is the one and only AK saying Browns fans acting like they didn't claim the Super Bowl when they got Odell.
Oh, I'll give you that. Oh, yeah, we were jumping for joy. I ain't gonna lie.
Just wanted to keep you honest, man. Just wanted to keep you honest.
By the way, AK
you know,
a
hey.
Steelers fan, we're gonna play his video in a few. He sent in a video on the Steelers.
So when it comes to Odell, that turd floated to the top of the bowl pretty quick.
So here's the Steelers schedule at Cincinnati.
0-1.
Yeah, 0-1.
Home to New England.
0-2.
At Cleveland.
0-3.
Home to Jets. A win. Maybe.
Home to Jets.
Absolutely a loss. What is it? 1-3 for me.
3-1.
At
got no
Buffalo
respect for the Jets right now.
At Buffalo.
1-4.
Yeah, 1-4.
Home to the Buccaneers.
1-5.
So by that point,
week seven at Miami.
Yeah. 1-6. Yeah. So by week 8.
Well, let me and then week 8. Week 8 is at Philadelphia.
They could win that too. But
Philadelphia does have Devonta and AJ Brown now. Don't forget that trade.
Yeah, but they got Carson Wentz too. So
well, they have Jalen Hurts.
Oh, Jalen Hurts.
I mean, Jalen Hurts. Excuse me. Sorry, I'm thinking about the Commanders. But either way, I had it at like 1-5, 1-4.
Oh yeah.
So either way,
by
that point, Steelers fans are going to be
screaming
panicking
for Kenny Pickett.
Yeah.
I had the Steelers by the Philly game. I had them 3-5. I had them beating New England, beating Cleveland, beating Miami.
Everybody respects Miami. Miami's a lot better.
No, my thing with Miami is I just need to see how Tyreek and Tua work together. That's
another shitty quarterback. I don't believe in Tua one bit.
That's another question.
One bit.
Yeah, I'm not
all that talent around them. No excuses this year for Tua. None. But
yeah, this is going to be his make or break year too, no doubt.
Chase Oliver says, "I love this Browns fans' positive outlook. Most Browns fans are doom and gloom."
Well, when you go 1-31, you know, hey, we thought we were king shit at Turd Hill when Baker Mayfield came in and whooped the Jets, man.
Oh my God, that reminds me.
Remember the Bud Light fridges all opened up that night?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Let me share the Steelers fan video from the one and only AK.
Oh, I'm Austin K. I'm a lifelong Steelers fan, despite how much they stress me the hell out. But I'm excited for this year. It's kind of crazy without Big Ben, not having a rapist as the QB. Browns fans, I know you can't relate. But
I don't think they want to relate, Austin. Austin, I don't think they want to relate.
Yeah. Y'all need to sit this one out, man. Yeah.
Holy shit!
I have some good feelings, some bad feelings about my team. I think the O-line still has a lot of question marks. The secondary, a lot of question marks. But I'm real confident about our receivers and, of course, the defense. TJ Watt is God. And the division is kind of crazy. It's kind of weird having the.
What's that? No, go ahead.
He said TJ Watt. Look, TJ Watt's really good. All right. TJ Watt's really good. All right. First of all, he's a human neutral zone infraction. The guy lines up in the neutral zone, never gets called for it. You got to watch it. I'm telling you. You think this? I'm not kidding. Watch it this year. This dude gets away with it.
Maybe I got to keep a closer eye on that.
He gets away with it.
D-Ranker is pausing games, getting out his measuring tape, and he's like, "Wait a minute,
wait a goddamn minute." Especially if it's at home. Watch. He's the human neutral zone infraction. Second of all right. Look, he only got that sack record because Kevin Stefanski's a fucking idiot and left Baker Mayfield in that game with a completely decimated offensive line and one leg and one arm, and he gets 7-8 sacks on him to get the record. Stop it, man. Stop it. He's good, but he ain't Myles Garrett. Keep playing.
Well, to be fair, when Strahan got that record, Brett Favre just fucking sat down.
Yeah, Brett Favre did lay down.
You could have it.
Yes, exactly.
To be fair.
Yeah. Watch the human neutral zone infraction this year.
I'm going to keep a closer eye on that this year. I'm going to keep a closer eye on
it. Dude, I call it. I'll sit there. Look, I'm done with my wife. I'm going, look. His hand is on the line.
Let's hear more from Austin.
Bengals be successful for once. But they did a good job, so I can't hate. The Browns, they're still a train wreck like usual. Just when you think they have some momentum. The Ravens have one of the top running backs in the league, and he can also throw the ball kind of good. And then, like I said, the Bengals, they have a lot to look forward to. So my predictions are I have the Bengals winning the division at 12-5, as long as the O-line can gel up. I have the Browns actually finishing last in the division. As of recording this, Deshaun Watson was suspended for 6 games, but it could be more. So, and even if it does hold up at 6, I think he'll be rusty from not playing in a year and a half. I have Baltimore winning 10 games and losing 7. I think they're kind of reverting back to MVP Lamar because they got rid of Hollywood Brown and revamped their defense, had one of the best drafts. So I have them finishing second in the division. And my Steelers, I am hopeful at 9-8, but if we can do better, hey, it's all good. Go Steelers.
Listen, Romeo, I'm glad that you got that video from Austin because even though it is summer, it is a school night, so he couldn't stay up to be with us here on this video.
All right.
Yeah, he's like 12 years old, D-Ranker.
Really? A little older than that.
No.
No.
Really? Wow. I would say at least 18. Damn.
So yeah, guys, that is the division predictions. We're gonna jump into a little bit of the news, and I'm gonna start actually with a team that we were talking about a lot in this conversation, and a wide receiver that was just mentioned. And we're gonna start with the wide receiver, and that is Hollywood Marquise Brown. He was arrested for criminal speeding. He was arrested in Arizona, a class 3 misdemeanor, punishable by up to 30 days in jail, a fine of up to $500, and up to 1 year of probation. Allegedly, he was going, I think it was like 110 miles per hour in the zone. Suffice to say, that was in excess of the speed limit. One thing I think that we can clearly see is that Cardinals wide receivers are doing whatever it takes to not have to play with Kyler Murray. Either DeAndre Hopkins is popping hot for PEDs, or shortly after he was traded to Arizona, Marquise Brown said, "Let me get the fuck out of here, even if it means I have to speed." Man, it's going to be a big blow for the Cardinals, considering they usually have a problem with winning games in the back half of the season. And now between losing,
you know what's going to be funny?
Between losing Hopkins in the first part and however long they may lose Hollywood Brown, it doesn't look like that the front half of the season is going to be that great. But Kyler Murray is the $200-something million man, right? So it's going to be time for him to
230.5, right?
Yeah, it's going to be time for him to step up, and look over his offensive line.
Jesus,
Hollywood Brown, he'll get 6 games.
Yeah, he'll get the same amount as Watson. Watch. and that leads us to.
Can you play that? Can you put up that meme I uploaded?
Oh yes, right here.
Henry Riggs to Hollywood Brown. You and I are not so different. I didn't make this, folks. I didn't make this. I just shared it. I didn't make this. Because Hollywood Brown, what the fuck are you doing, you idiot? You could have killed someone, just like Henry Ruggs. Do you learn nothing?
But like the funny part is that this is happening. He gets arrested at 7:00 in the morning. Like, why are you going that fast that early in the morning? Like,
first of all, if you gone that fast, why'd you stop? What the hell did you pull over for? Going to jail anyway. You might as well keep running.
Oh,
he's got speed on and off the field.
That's one way to put it.
Terrible life choices.
But D-Ranker, you were asking a lot of people, saying a lot of people are down on Miami, and Miami has been down on itself for so long that they resorted to legal tampering to try to get an advantage. And the NFL, as a result, this is the owner, Stephen Ross, they have been forced to forfeit their 2023 first-round pick and 2024 third-round pick after an NFL investigation found that they violated tampering rules with quarterback Tom Brady and coach Sean Payton while both were under contract with other teams. The statement from Stephen Ross states, the independent investigation cleared our organization of any issues related to tanking and all of Brian Flores' other allegations. As I've said all along, these allegations were false, malicious, and defamatory, and this issue is now put to rest. Well, I don't know about that. With regards to tampering, I strongly disagree with the conclusions and the punishment. However, I will accept the outcome because the most important thing is that there be no distractions for our team as we begin an exciting and winning season. I will not allow anything to get in the way of that. Well, Mr. Ross, you don't really have to worry about that getting in the way of winning. You just have to worry about whether or not Tua can actually throw a deep ball. That's really what's going to stop your team from potentially winning. Do you guys have any thoughts on the Miami tampering situation?
Yeah, I got thoughts.
Why? Because fuck them, that's why.
Fuck them. They deserved it. Fuck the Dolphins. Fuck them.
D-Ranker, anything from you on these tampering allegations, sir? We're all the rage.
Games.
Allegations are all the rage. Wait, you said give him 6 games? Yes. Give everybody 6 games.
So they were trying to get Tom Brady either as an exec or the quarterback, right? Is that the way I understood that? They were trying to get him to either play for them or come down and be in the front office. Right?
I think it was more play for them, but yeah, I think also there was a potential front office thing. It's just 6 games. Honestly, if you think about it, Tom Brady should get suspended for this as well, because they're trying to tamper with you and everything. But 1, you didn't have to talk to them, and 2, if they were doing something wrong and a break in the rules, you could have reported it. But that's
Tom Brady hates the league more than anybody.
I was gonna say, like, there's a lot of things you learn from the Patriots way, and doing the right thing and talking to the authorities when you see wrongdoings. It's not one of them. So that's
if you don't think that dude was deflating balls, you're full of yourself.
You're goddamn right.
Chicago Duke Dog, you are correct. This is like attempting to cheat on a test and then you still fail.
That's great.
I agree.
But guys, I think that we are. Is there any other? Oh well. For my team, poor Tim Patrick tore his ACL in practice. Very, very unfortunate. And the Broncos have responded by signing this guy who I've never really heard of, but he was with Nathaniel Hackett in Green Bay, and apparently he did pretty well, so to speak, in the USFL. So hopefully something. I don't know. Well, they'll try to figure that shit out. But that'll be AFC West talk will be for another day. D-Ranker, I wanted to ask you, do you have any final thoughts on the division? And after all of the Browns slinging that has been thrown your way this evening, do you have any final thoughts on the team, the division, and where you see it going?
I think that division is going to be just as crazy as it was last year. Like I said, it only took 10 wins to win that division last year. But I think the Ravens are going to be back to true form. I mean, that was their division last year to take, hands down. No one was going to touch them. And then the injuries at the beginning of the year and Lamar Jackson not playing the last 6 games because he had the worst sprained ankle on the history of the planet, threw it in for them. And then, the Bengals just kind of snuck in there in the end and took it, the last couple of weeks.
But do you not think that they're not going to be better?
I think the Bengals are. I think everybody in the division is better, except for maybe Pittsburgh is about the only one I think is taking a step back. It's only because they just have a quarterback issue. And, Trubisky could have a decent year, but I think that division, even with or without Deshaun Watson, the Browns are going to be in the mix. They're going to be in the middle. All right. I think if Deshaun Watson's out the entire year, they're probably at the bottom. All right. But if he plays even half the season, they're going to win some damn games. Just having him back there. But the Bengals,
and if he plays the whole season because of a lawsuit, then
they're going to be in the mix
fair game.
Top. Right. I think they're in the mix at the top. I mean, I'm sorry. The rest of that roster is so good. But without a quarterback, you're not going to win anything ever.
I wanted to
running
ask you
game-
one thing about the Browns specifically, the center position, because you guys did lose a key player there.
Who?
JC Treader.
Yeah.
Do you feel good about the offensive line?
Yeah. It was one of the best last year. It should be just as good this year. I mean, obviously they lost somebody, but that I can't think of his name. But they drafted this guy last year, assuming JC Treader was going to leave. So we'll see how that goes. But their offensive line is still pretty darn good. But I think it's the Ravens division to take. I don't say the Bengals aren't going to make the playoffs. I think the Bengals can and probably should. Their offense is good luck stopping them. I think their defense has gotten better, but that's always been their Achilles heel. Has always been their defense. They've always had a good running game, always had a decent quarterback. They just never had a defense. So now they have a defense. So we'll see how it goes. I'm not handing them the division because they only won it with 10 games last year. But I think the Ravens, the Browns, and the Bengals all got better. So
I think the Ravens are probably, to me, the sneakiest ones to
I'd be afraid of the Ravens
because last year what held them back was losing like 3 running backs in one day in training camp.
Yeah, and a safety.
Completely changed that offense. What they were trying to do.
Like I said, don't look out for the Ravens because they're going to come in this year ticked off because last year was kind of stolen from them in a sense. If you're a fan, I guess, but I don't know how a sprained ankle lasts 6 weeks. It's almost as BS as cramping, and he had to go take a dump against the Browns that night. Yeah, well, you're cramping, dude.
I still hate how the Ravens' strategy is just like they just don't care about wide receivers. Like,
at all.
Right, okay, Rashad Bateman, okay, but they're like, all right, Lamar, running backs, just go ahead and run it. Like,
you think Lamar's worth $40 million, $45 million?
They're gonna pay it. They're gonna make it worth it.
Regardless of.
I tell you what, I think this is why this is dragging out so long. First of all, he's representing himself, which in itself is not the smartest thing in the world. Go get an agent to do your job.
He is. I did not know that.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, him and his mom. Yeah, represent himself.
Not a good move.
Yeah, so the team is going to take advantage of that wholeheartedly. Go get your, a real agent and get the money. But my opinion is look, you just gave $230 to Watson, $230 to Murray, and then you still have Aaron Rodgers out there making $50 million for the next couple of years. Is Lamar Jackson worth $40 million this year? Yeah. Is he worth $40 million next year? Probably. But are you going to give this guy a 5 to 7, 8 year contract of $40 million a year? Because to me, this guy hasn't proved he can play from the pocket. And until he does, that's why he's not getting the big money. Now, he's absolutely should be one of the top paid quarterbacks this year and probably next year. When this guy gets close to 30, he ain't going to be able to do that shit no more.
Yeah.
And until he can prove he can stand in the pocket and throw accurate passes 30, 40 yards down the field, he ain't making that money. And that's why they don't want to pay him that stupid contract because that's a multi-year contract. But for the next year,
he was able to do that his MVP year.
Right. But
he just fell off from that passing.
The cards are all with the team because he gets whatever 19 or 20 million, whatever the hell his contract was for his 5th year this year. They're going to franchise his ass next year. So he'll get his $40 million, right? They're going to franchise him for the next 2 years. So there's 3 more years they have with Lamar Jackson to see if he can throw an accurate pass. Now, he's gotten better every year, but until he
get him some better receivers. Right. Help him out, Baltimore.
Too, but you got Hollywood Brown last year and, or Rob.
Let's trade him.
Let's trade him. So the team has like 3 years to see if he can throw an accurate pass from the pocket. And if he can't, he'll play on those 2 franchise, make a shit ton of money, but he won't get that long-term deal. I don't see it happening. Unless it's completely front-loaded. Because, for the next couple of years, he's absolutely worth all that money.
I've said it repeatedly. I don't care how mobile a quarterback is. If you cannot teach them to be a pocket passer, it's not going to work.
Right. That's why Michael Vick didn't last very long. It's why Donovan McNabb didn't last very long.
The value,
Yep.
the value of a mobile quarterback is when they know when to run, they are able to run. Tom Brady, not a mobile quarterback. When he saw the pressure, he didn't try to run. He threw the ball away. Lamar Jackson, he is the ability to run. And when he sees that pressure coming, he has to know sometimes it's just okay to throw the damn ball away as opposed to trying to take off.
He's got to get to the point later in his career that you can't be. He has a run first mentality. Let's call a spade a spade. It's run first, throw if I have to. He's got to get to the point where it's throw first and only run if I have to, because you won't last in the NFL doing that. Yes. You're going to kill Josh Allen. Josh Allen better cool the frick down, because he's going to get killed. Like, that dude is trying to do it all himself, and he's going to get destroyed one day by a linebacker, and he's going to be done. Like, he's going to blow a knee or something like that, and he's going to be out. And I'm sorry, I love that dude. I think he's probably the best quarterback in the league next to Patrick Mahomes right now. But if he don't stop diving into, oncoming linebackers, he's not going to last very long.
I mean, we're not talking that division, but honestly, I believe that's what this season's really going to be about. They're going to be pairing him up more with Stephon Diggs and showing him you don't have to run. Yeah. And that's but to bring it back here, the point here is that you can only do that if you have the receivers to do that. The receiving, Stephon Diggs himself is probably better than almost every receiver that Baltimore has.
They actually helped Josh Allen in Buffalo.
Yeah, combined. So it's gonna be like, and so what this brings actually an interesting question is Mark Andrews. Mark Andrews is like the number one receiver on that team. He is that offense when it comes to the passing game.
Yes.
If teams are able to shut him down, that's what I'm looking forward to seeing. How these defensive coordinators try to shut down Mark Andrews, because to me, the question is Mark Andrews and the running backs. We now know that the running backs are going to be back. I mean, barring any further crazy injuries this year, a repeat of last year. To me, it's, can they stop that run? Can they stop Mark Andrews? Because then the question is, Lamar has to run every single time because the receivers they have are pretty much garbage.
Well, no, if they focus on Andrews, then all the pressure goes on Bateman.
But I don't think Bateman's good enough to stop a quarterback one. I don't think he's there yet.
You might be right, and I think I agree with you. The Ravens front office thinks he's good enough to do it on his own.
Yeah. So we'll have to see how all of this shakes out. But Romeo, I want to ask you, since you are picking all of our divisions, which division would you like us to cover next week? We have covered AFC South. We have covered NFC South. We have now covered AFC North.
By the way, I thought this division is like probably the most hectic out of the divisions we covered. Like, it could go a lot of different ways. If one or two or three little things go crazy, that's go all haywire.
That's why I'm definitely glad we're saving AFC West for last, because that war is going to be insane.
We got to go to the NFC, and I say we dive into the NFC East.
NFC East. All right. So we're going to be dealing with the NFC East next week.
Bunch of Northeastern fuckers. Let's do it.
But D-Ranker, we want to thank you for coming on today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
It was fun, man.
Loved it.
If you have anything you'd like to plug, Twitter or anything like that, feel free.
I don't need to plug anything. I don't want people to know what I do online.
That's fair.
Now everybody will be going to my channel and my Twitter now. What's he do?
If you know, you know. If you don't,
you know, you know. If you know, you know. If you know why I know Romeo, then you know. If you don't, I do have something for you. I'm gonna show you here. Hold quick.
Okay. What's this?
Put them on ISO.
Oh yeah.
What's ISO? Oh, there you go.
Solo screen.
Let me know if you remember this.
Wow. The Federation of Asshole Gamers. That thing is beautiful.
And
FAG
guys,
was our initials, but that doesn't work in 2022 so far. That doesn't work.
yeah, it's a little
We
bit.
gotta switch it up.
All right.
Well, guys, we want to thank everybody for tuning in for this week's episode where we cover the AFC North. I want to thank everybody for subscribing to THH Sports. If you are a newcomer, we encourage you to subscribe. As you see, we interact with you guys as we go along, and we love being able to talk to all of you while we do these videos covering.
Oh, hold on. I have a poll.
Oh, you have a poll. Even better.
The poll results. I asked who wins the AFC North. We had 22 votes. Thank you all for voting. 5% said the Ravens. Sounds like one person. 14% said the Steelers. 18% said the Browns. 64% said the Bengals.
The people have spoken. The people have spoken. You guys don't even need to watch the games. The people have spoken.
As I said, let me turn in my Red Zone subscription right now.
Well, you still need it for fantasy football.
Yeah.
So, yeah, guys, you can also catch all of the wonderful stuff that we do here on THH Sports, whether it's basketball, baseball. Romeo covers UFC. We're going to be doing, hopefully, a little bit of boxing down the road, and we'll be adding more and more sports as we go along. And you guys can also catch us on the main channel, Tru Heel Heat, where we talk about everything in the wide, wide world of wrestling. So, for myself, for Tru Heel Romeo, for D Ranker, for Jarrett Bailey, for Top Guy JJ, we want to thank you guys for tuning in. And until next time, take care of yourselves and each other, and we will catch